Hi, everybody. I thought I'd jump on here today with a quick video on behaviors you can teach your dog to make life with a new baby a little bit easier for everybody. Because, yes, I have been keeping a secret. I am currently pregnant, expecting our first child at the very beginning of November. And so I thought now would be a great time to show you guys how we're preparing our dogs for this huge adjustment. Because not only is it a huge adjustment for the adults living the house, going from 0 babies to 1 baby, it is also a huge adjustment for the dogs in the house as well. And if we can help prepare the dogs a little bit better, that will help ease everybody's stress level as we make this huge life transition, right? So as many of you know, I have 6 of my own dogs as well as my 1 service dog in training who will be with his new handler by then. But my 6 pet dogs have varying levels of training in their background. They're various ages with varying temperaments. And so some of them are going to need more help with this than others. Now, today, I'm going to show you guys I'm going to call it active training, the behaviors that I'm teaching or brushing up with my own dogs to help make life with an infant just a little bit easier. In separate videos, I'll show you things like introducing baby gear, which is a great socialization exercise for any service dog in training, really, how I'm setting my house up so that we can all be just set up for success with a new baby and all of that kind of stuff. But like I said, today is really about the active pieces of training that I am doing with our dogs. Some of these behaviors are behaviors that I know help because I've helped new parents make this transition with their dogs before. And some are things that I just have been bugging me a little bit because some of my dog's behaviors have gotten a little bit sloppy. And I know when I'm tired and sleep deprived, it's going to bug me even more, right? So first, we are doing different types of stationing behaviors. And what I mean by stationing really is just teaching our dogs to go to a dog bed or a crate or a piece of furniture and to stay there until released, right? Now, most of my dogs know a stationing behavior. Some of them are really rusty with it. We don't use it a whole lot. And we're definitely really upping that proofing, right? So in this first video clip, you can see that I am in the kitchen. And my 2 tollers are in their crates right outside the kitchen. Now, we chose crates for this particular stationing exercise just because of how our house is set up. It makes more sense to us. You could use a dog bed, you could use whatever you wanted, but the crates make the most sense for us. So I'm just teaching our dogs that when I step into the kitchen, they should go hang out in their crates. I don't have the doors closed. That's just the station that they should be on in order to earn reinforcement at that time, right? So I do have a little container of dog food that's staying in our kitchen right now so that every time we step into the kitchen, the dogs are going into their crates and we can reinforce them periodically while we're in the kitchen. Now, the next version of stationing is just in our living room. So in this clip, I've got 1 dog on a bed, 1 dog on a chair there, and I am reinforcing them for staying there while I move around, while I'm sitting, while I'm getting down on the floor, all of that kind of stuff. Now, I have 6 dogs. So in these videos, you see me working with 2 of them at a time because first we started with 1 dog to make sure that they knew the behavior. Now we're adding 2 dogs in, and then pretty soon we'll be doing this as a whole group. Now, this also includes me calling them off the stations and sending them back so that I know that they can go to a station even if I'm on the floor. Because with stationing behaviors, for me, there's kind of a couple pieces there. There's the going to the station, so responding to the cue, which I want them to do regardless of where I'm sitting, standing, or laying down. And I also need them to then stay there regardless of where I'm sitting, standing, or laying down, right? Now, the third way that we've been working on this stationing behavior is actually with some of the just smaller pieces of baby gear that we have here already. Now, I don't need safety precautions or recommendations. The gear you'll see in all the videos is either gifts or purposefully chosen by me. And in either case, I will be doing lots and lots of safety research to make sure that I know how to use all this baby gear as safely as possible. But here, I'm just teaching the tollers to, make sure that they stay on the couch in this room, even while I've got some things moving around on the floor, while I'm fluffing up the blankets and making some motions that almost look as if I'm inviting them down, right? So we're just really proofing you stay there, even though mom's being exciting on the floor. Now, stationing also brings us into kind of the next category, if you will, of formal training that we're doing, and that's brushing up everybody's manners around food. So here in this first video, you can again see them on their stations in my living room. Um, on their stations in my living room while I'm just getting ready to eat some soup. Right. So we're just practicing staying on their stations even when the people in the room are eating. And then we're also proofing that station in our kitchen while we're cooking as well. So here I'm just making a sandwich. The two tollers, short for Nova Scotia Duck Tolling Retriever, for anybody who's not familiar with the breed. I'm reinforcing the two tollers for staying in their crates, even while I have all of this food out on the counter. A little trick here is what I'm reinforcing them in this scenario with is actually little chunks of cut up cheese. And I'm tossing it to them instead of handing it to them, because that way I don't feel like I have to wash my hands every time I deliver a treat before I go interact with my human food again, because the cheese is human grade. It's the same thing going on the sandwiches, and I'm just dropping it into their crate instead of handing it to them. Now, the other way that we're kind of brushing up working our manners around food is a couple of my dogs can be a little bit nosy. So if I'm carrying something, they're really interested in getting and seeing what it is. This behavior has, we're going to say it's deteriorated or maybe escalated a little bit over the last year or two as I've just been more relaxed and not worrying about it so much. But this is something I could see being very annoying as a new parent, having dogs always trying to investigate the things in my hands. So in this video, I really am just practicing with dog food here, but we'll be practicing with all kinds of things later on. Reinforcing the dogs for keeping all 4 feet on the floor, even while things that may or may not be food are coming right over their heads. Now, there are 2 more things that we're doing that I'm lumping into the active training. Okay, the first is confinement training, so that my dogs are nice and fluent with being comfortable in crates, being comfortable in X pens, and being comfortable with a gate separating us when I'm right there and visible. All of my dogs are great with being confined in all sorts of manners when they're home alone, but with an infant in the house, it will be important, and especially as the infant begins to move and becomes a toddler, that they're comfortable being confined even when I'm right in the room with them and we're separated by just a gate. So we're working on that by giving treats while we're separated, chews while we're separated, and then just kind of increasing the amount of time and varying when and for how long they are confined in their crates during the day or during an X-Pen. Oftentimes when I've seen new parents bring a baby home, in those first couple of weeks, the dogs end up, confined a little bit more. The schedule train changes drastically for them. And so one thing that can really help the dogs adjust is to have practiced ahead of time being crated during odd periods of the day, or having that baby gate up during longer periods or different portions of the day than might be normal for their typical routine right now. And the final thing we're doing is just brushing up on everybody's manners by using Kathy Sadeo's Smart Times 50 training protocol, which is outlined in her book. Plenty in Life is Free, I believe. I talked about it in last week's video as one of the books I think every single owner trainer should read. It basically, as a really short synopsis, involves simply reinforcing our dogs throughout the day for good behavior. So we have a container of treats in the kitchen, like you saw. I have a small container of treats on our coffee table. I have one right by the door so I can reinforce the dogs for coming in when called, but they're getting treats for relaxing, for being on their stations, for coming in when called, like I said, for being quiet when somebody comes through the door. Just kind of anything that they're doing throughout the day that I'm glad they're doing, I'm reinforcing them for to help that behavior happen more often in the future and to help strengthen it and everything like that. So like I said, these are the formal training sort of pieces that we're doing. And the one thing that I did forget in food manners is the formal leave it, so that I can say leave it and they will leave anything I've asked them to. Some of my dogs are brilliant at it. Some of them are real rusty at it. So we're working on leave it with the whole gang. These are the behaviors that we're working on, right? We're working on stationing. We're working on food manners, including all 4 on the floor and leave it. We're working on confinement training of all different kinds, and then just actively reinforcing good behavior throughout the day. In our next video, I'll show you how I'm actually going to be introducing different baby gear well in advance, including baby gear that makes noise or vibrates or does any of those weird things, so that our dogs are nice and desensitized to those before they even come home. And in future videos, we'll also talk about, like I said, how I'm setting the house up for success for everybody and some other random things that we're doing to prepare the dogs in as far advance as possible. So if you have any questions about this stuff, you can absolutely let me know in the comments. Make sure to hit that like button if you found this video helpful. I do have 2 links in the comments below for you. They are both from Family Paws. They are an excellent organization that specializes in helping families introduce infants to the house and then manage toddlers and dogs in the same home as well. So one is for their website, which has tons of great information on it. And one is a specific link to a webinar that you can purchase from them, all about introducing a baby into the home. And it's a really great webinar that I highly, highly recommend anybody in a similar position to me, make sure that you check out. But like I said, if you have any questions, make sure to hit that, or make sure to put them in the comments below. Make sure to hit that like button, and I'll see you later.